Hey everybody, Kevin here, founder of drawingandcoloring.com and creator of Shading Masters. Welcome back. In this video we're going to be going through the different parts that actually make up form and light. So let's go over to some key components of what actually make up light and how we can simplify it to get the most impact in your images. So, as you know, all form is made up of light and shadow. The shadows themselves can be broken down even further into core, cast shadows, and how they are affected by a reflected light. So let's take a look at highlights first. At their simplest, they're going to be the brightest point of any image. Obvious, right? They're also going to depict the angle and intensity that the light is coming from. Maybe not so obvious. So second is the shadows. They, of course, will be the darkest areas, and contrary to what you might think, the shadow is actually pretty transparent, and I'll show you that in a little bit as well. That's especially true for the cast shadows. So you probably already know that when light hits an object, it throws a shadow onto a surface behind it, wherever that light path is. Wherever it's in that direct line, you're going to have that shadow on the other side. That's exactly what the cast shadow is. It's the shadow that's created on another surface in the shape of the object that's being lit. So basically any shadow you see around you, the one of you on the ground, the ones in buildings, under your car, anything that has form will create a cast shadow. It's going to be everywhere. The one on me now. They're really going to give your objects form and make them pop if you add them. So there's some easy ways to draw them as well, and I'll show those to you in just a little bit when we move over to the desk. And last is reflected light. Reflected light is a light that bounces off other objects and surfaces back into the shadows. And it can be confusing if you don't know about it or even notice them, but they're lighting the shadow. And if you're not accounting for it, it can also be the reason why your images don't really have much depth. They bring more depth into the shadows. So with those key elements in mind, let's head over to the desk and I'll show you some examples. Okay, so as you can see, we have our little ninja guy here, and what I'm going to do is just give you just a quick example of cast shadows and how they work, and how the intensity and the direction of the light really does affect the way that the shadow is depicted and how it's thrown onto other objects. So as you can see here, he already has a little bit of a cast shadow. I have a nice soft light on him, and you can see how the shadow around him right here and even on my hand is very soft. It's a very soft shadow that you really can't really see definite form in it. But once we turn off the light here and he goes under a spotlight, you can see how much sharper and harder the edges are for that cast shadow that's created there. And if I move it around, you can see how exactly, you can see the light, you can see how exactly the light is affecting the way that shadow is being thrown. Now it's about a 45-degree angle, I'd say, right now, and if I raise it up higher, it obviously makes it a little shorter. It's closer down, it's more direct. It's more of, I'll show you this in a little bit on some paper, but if you see that the angle of the light goes from here to here, it's always going to be at the very top and straight back down. Very top in the light path itself. So once you have the light source, you can draw the cast shadows exactly how they need to be, and you'll have the lines. You can almost just draw them out, and you'll have the exact placement of where that cast shadow needs to go. Then all you need to determine is what your intensity is and how close is the light. If you can see here, get a pretty cool little shot there, but that is the exact outline. Now if we pull it back, it changes it slightly and gets it a little darker, but it really is dependent on the angle. If I bring it down low, his shadow is going to stretch, and that's how you get those real kind of scary effects of him like walking into a like a Halloween type of movie. So it really does depend on what the angle of the light is and the intensity of it. As you can see right here, if you want to make something, this will alone, if you master this, it'll give you the ability to add drama and everything else that you can possibly think of to make the image dynamic right off of this one principle alone.